What's up, my peeps? It is now time for the Night of Champions 2014 prediction game video. I'll be going over every single one of my predictions for all the matches on the card, and of course I always recommend you guys to participate and leave your predictions in the comments section below. Now, Night of Champions will be headlined by the rematch between John Cena and the champion Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. On top of that, every single championship will be on the line, as it usually is at the Night of Champions events. From the US title, Divas title, all the titles will be defended. And on top of that, there's 3 singles non-title matches in Chris Jericho versus Randy. And this might be Jericho's last match for a while. We might not see Jericho for a couple of months, maybe a year after this match. And also, Rusev takes on Mark Henry. And Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, a rematch from this past Monday. Now, while Night of Champions isn't typically viewed as one of WWE's, top pay-per-views or important pay-per-views like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, it's definitely one of the more interesting pay-per-views just because of the fact that every single title is on the line. You don't see that often. On pay-per-views, you might see like 3 championships on the line or something like that, but Night of Champions is pretty much the only night where every title is defended. And just because of that, it's a cool pay-per-view because more championships on the line means there's more of a chance that we see a new champion, whether it be an IC champion, US champion, or even WWE World Heavyweight Champion. On top of that, the card for Night of Champions is looking pretty good. You've got the rematch, the big rematch between Cena and Brock Lesnar. Of course, the first match, probably the most dominating, definitely the most dominating championship, main event championship win in the history of the WWE. So it's going to be interesting to see in this rematch whether it's the same outcome, whether Brock dominates Cena as much as he did at SummerSlam, or if Cena puts up a better fight. I'll go ahead and say I think Cena puts up a better fight. And then there's also Reigns versus Seth Rollins, and there's also that possibility that Dean Ambrose could make his return at Night of Champions and get involved in the mix, whether it be in between the match, or while it's going on, or after the match is over. And for the pre-show, it's an interesting pre-show. It's not a matchup. Instead, it's the return of Christian and the Peep Show. So Christian is going to be hosting the pre-show, hosting the Peep Show on the pre-show with special guest Chris Jericho. I'm a big fan of Christian, so it's cool to see him return. I know we've seen him the past couple of months on the kickoff panel, but as far as Christian in the ring, in storylines, we haven't seen him in a while in regards to that. So hopefully that leads to an in-ring return for Christian, and I'm just interested in seeing the Peep Show once again, and it's going to be cool to have that in-ring segment between Christian and Jericho. And I think we might see Randy get involved. Who knows? Now, as far as my predictions for the matches, let's get started. And as always, I encourage you guys to participate and leave your predictions for all the matches in the description box. For SummerSlam, nobody got their predictions right. Nobody got, a clean sweep with every single match right. So let's change that. Hopefully this time around for Night of Champions, at least one of us gets all the matches right. So anyways, time for the predictions, and I'm going to start with the Intercontinental Championship match. It is going to be Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz in a rematch from SummerSlam. And speaking of SummerSlam, I was pretty surprised at the outcome there, where Dolph won the championship. Not only did he kick out of this cold-crushing finale, but he won the title. And one of the biggest reasons why I thought The Miz was going to retain was because he had just won the championship at, I believe it was Battleground. Was it Battleground or Money in the Bank? One of the two. So he had just recently won the title, and on top of that, he eliminated Dolph Ziggler to win the championship. So I was like, you know what? I don't think Dolph's going to win the championship. The Miz is probably going to retain. But I'm glad I was wrong, and that Dolph won the championship. Now, The reason why I brought that up, the whole thing with The Miz, you know, just recently winning the title and then losing it, is because that kind of shows you that just because, you know, in this instance, Dolph just won the championship at SummerSlam, it doesn't mean just because of that he's not going to lose it this soon to The Miz. But in this case, I think Dolph will retain, and I'm going to go with Dolph winning this match. And then following that, you've got the United States Championship match, Sheamus versus Cesaro. Now when it comes to this one, it's pretty interesting because, you know, they just recently feuded. They just recently had a pay-per-view match at Payback for the US title. Sheamus was the US champion and Cesaro the challenger, except at that time, Cesaro had Paul Heyman in his corner. I was kind of surprised that, you know, so soon after them having like a feud and a title match on pay-per-view, that they're having it once again, except this time, of course, at Night of Champions. And, you know, the first time around, Sheamus, of course, he retained the championship, he beat Cesaro. This time around, although this match is a pretty, you know, it's a pretty hard match to predict in my opinion, it's a difficult one. I think actually this, the Cesaro vs. Sheamus match, is probably the hardest match to predict on the Night of Champions card, at least in my opinion. But I think this time around, Cesaro is going to prevail, and he's going to win the United States Championship from Sheamus. So, after that, you've got Mark Henry versus Rusev. And I'm going to go with Rusev on this one. You see, I think Swagger's chances of getting a pinfall or submission win over Rusev would be higher than Mark Henry's chances. Just because, you know, Swagger had just recently turned face. And even then, I didn't think Swagger was going to get a pinfall or submission win over Rusev. The only way I could have seen Swagger get a victory over Rusev is if that flag match was the type of flag match where you actually have to, you know, run and go get the flag, and the first person to grab the flag wins the match. So unless it's, you know, a match like that, I don't think Rusev's going to lose anytime soon. So as far as Rusev versus Henry, I'm definitely going with Rusev picking up the win here. And then, after that, you've got the Divas Championship match, Paige defending her title against AJ Lee and Nikki Bella. So it's a triple threat match, which means Paige doesn't have to get pinned or submit to lose her title. Despite all that though, I still think that at Night of Champions, Paige is going to be walking away still Divas Champion. And then you've got Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho in probably the easiest match to predict on the Night of Champions card, or at least one of the easier matches to predict. I'm definitely going to go with Randy on this one, and, you know, there's only one reason or one way I could see Jericho winning this, and I'm going to go into more detail on that in my detailed prediction for the Randy versus Chris Jericho match. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Randy on this one. And then you've got the Tag Team Championship match. It is going to be the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso versus Gold and Stardust. And now, when it comes to this one, I'm going to go with Goldust and Stardust winning this match and becoming the new Tag Team Champions. But you can never really count out the Usos. I mean, for instance, I thought that Eric Rowan and Luke Harper would win the Tag Team titles off the Usos. On both occasions they fought, but the Usos won both matches. But when it comes to this one, I'm pretty confident that we'll see Goldust and Stardust walk away as the new Tag Team Champions. And then you've got Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, and I'm going to go with Reigns on this one. Although I do think this match is pretty hard to call, especially because of their matchup on Raw and Reigns picking up a clean victory over Seth Rollins. Initially, after that win over Seth Rollins on Raw, it's like, alright, Seth Rollins is going to win the rematch at Night of Champions. But then, you know, I thought about it some more, and after further review, I'm going to go with Reigns. But just like the matchup between the Usos and Goldust and Stardust, I wouldn't count out Seth Rollins though. I do think he still has, you know, a good chance at picking up the win here. I just think Reigns' chances are a bit higher. And then the main event, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And this one, plain and simple, I'm gonna go with the Beast, the 1 in 21-1, Brock Lesnar. Unfortunately, I can't do it the same way Paul Heyman does it, or the same way Paul Heyman says it, but you guys get what I'm trying to do. Anyways, yeah, I think Lesnar is going to retain his WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and I think he's going to beat John Cena once again. So that's it for my quick predictions. Now it's time for you guys to give me your predictions in the comments section below. And check this out, German suplex through the announcer's table. By God, is that going to happen at Night of Champions? I don't know, but I thought that was pretty cool. So, stay tuned for the rest of my prediction videos where I'll go into more detail on each one of the matches on the card. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate it, and I'm out. See ya.